Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's Tough Love Tuesday. And oh gosh, it's been a tough week. I am in the Seattle area, and we just aren't used to record-breaking temperatures. And I'm going to do my very best to get through this one as I'm in my office, and it's got the western exposure, and I had to turn the fan off for audio quality. So if you see me wilting by the end of tonight, it's just hotter than who knows what in here. But I hope everybody out there who's having record-breaking heat, that you take care of yourself and hydrate and do all those things that you need to do. And so anyway, I'm going to do my best to get through this. And like I said, I'll probably be a pile of sweat at the end of this. So, okay, it is Tough Love Tuesday. And today I'm going to be talking about whole foods, and whole health, and how you can get more vegetables into your diet. And if you choose to, you can try living with a plant-based diet mainly. So we're going to go through that. Let's see, a little bit of housekeeping is that I'm recording live, and I'm not in a sound studio, so anything can happen. But also know that you can catch these recordings as a podcast, and it's your Personal Journey with Food podcast, and it's available on many platforms like iHeart Radio, Apple, Google, Spotify, just to name a few. So anyway, and then I wanted to thank some places that I have received some of this information from, and then that would be healthline.com, ncbi.in, virtua.org, forksoverknives.com, piedmont.org, truthaboutcancer.com, and onegreenplanet.org. So let's get going on this. All right, congrats on watching this video, or if you're listening in, well done. So I'm going to talk today about what it means to eat a plant-based whole foods diet, its benefits, and how to go about making a transition to more whole foods, more vegetables, more fruits, and how you can do that transition from the processed foods, heavy meat diets. So first, we're going to talk about some definitions, so some lingo. Whole foods, what that means is that it just describes the natural foods that aren't highly processed. So that means whole, unrefined, or minimally refined ingredients. Okay, so something that looks a lot like it would have, if you picked it from the garden, or say brown rice, those kinds of things, quinoa. They look closely like what their original form is, and then you would cook with those things. So plant-based means food that comes from plants and doesn't contain animal ingredients such as meat, milk, eggs, and even honey. So that's plant-based. And so therefore, a whole plant-based diet is a lifestyle that's based on eating mostly plants. It excludes or drastically reduces animal products. So that's meat, dairy, eggs, and it definitely excludes processed, highly refined foods such as bleached flours, refined sugars, and oils, which was what I used to eat all the time. And the term, so that's whole foods plant-based. And then we have the term vegan. And vegan describes a lifestyle that excludes, as far as possible, all animal products for food. So even clothing or anything of any purpose. So this includes, but not limited to, meat, fish, dairy, eggs, and honey. And then lastly, vegetarian is basically, it's more widely known. And it's a lifestyle that excludes foods that consist of or have been produced with the aid of products composed of or created from any part of the body of a living or dead animal. And this includes meat, again, poultry, fish, or insects. And vegetarians typically will eat, dairy and eggs. And now of those diets or those lifestyles that have meat, we've got an omnivore. And that's a person who eats food of both plant and animal origin. And then there's carnivore, follows a lifestyle that includes, mainly consuming meat. So there, we've got those definitions out of the way. And so we're going to talk about, getting more plant-based whole foods into your lifestyle and the benefits of those. So there's a lot of myth. There's a myth out there that basically if we eat a whole food plant-based diet, that it's going to be hard work, boring. We're going to have to give up a lot of flavor and all those kinds of things, and that it limits our options. And that's actually not true. And so it's an opportunity to become a more innovative cook. And I know that can sound scary because a lot of people, and that was me too, I didn't want to have to cook. I didn't want to have to think about preparing whole foods. And I would get so distressed at the grocery store thinking about how to cook. And so I just went easy for the boxed foods and the things that I knew, or things from cans and jars. And so, but what I learned was, as I started to transition to a much higher amount of my nutrition from vegetables and fruits and everything like that, is that it gave me the opportunity to become innovative in how I cook. So as you learn and you try new things and have just have that, desire to learn, and that, wow, what can we create today kind of mindset, you can have a much deeper appreciation for your food. And that's what I found too. So I look at my food totally differently today than I did 10 years ago, even 6 years ago. And so my transition took time, but I allowed myself the opportunity to learn and to try new things. So, one of the great things, I think I've spoken of this before, but, food really allows us to travel and experience a variety of different cuisines from all over the world in your own home. And Ingrid writes about it in our book, Your Personal Journey with Food, about, educating our palate, giving it this opportunity to try new things. And so as you would transition from one type of eating or just, experimenting, you can have so much fun with what your taste buds can experience and all those things. So trying a plant-based whole foods, diet is an opportunity to expand your palate. And that really helped me to look at it differently. So there's a lot of science out about plant-based food. And again, there's lots of different ways to eat. And so today we're talking about plant-based whole foods. So I want to reiterate, what you can do with this experiment is find what works for you. So your body may completely thrive with this, or maybe you have to, your body still wants a little bit of meat. It's up to you to go ahead and experiment. So, but what's wonderful is there's a lot of research about why plant-based is so wonderful for our bodies. And, there's evidence that many chronic diseases can be controlled, reduced, or even reversed by moving to a whole food plant-based diet. So there's a book called The China Study, and it's very highly noted for its comprehensive study of nutrition, and basically about plant-based foods. And what they found is that it's a great book. You can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain types of cancer and other significant illnesses by adding more, whole foods to your plate to eat. And I know these are huge claims, but the research done in China Study has been the landmark for many other studies since, and reporting more significant fitness payoffs, more energy, reduced inflammation, and better health outcomes. So I know for me, when I'm eating whole food based foods, lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, I feel really good. I have a lot more energy. I don't have foggy head. I don't have a bloated stomach. When I eat other ways, I get lethargic, very sleepy. I definitely don't want to exercise. And so that's a great benefit of transitioning to a whole foods diet. And so that's exciting. There's just lots of proof to it. So other great benefits for moving and bringing more whole foods and more protein, more whole foods, whole grains, that kinds of things into your diet is, basically your body will it will support your body more, thus allowing your body to do what it needs to do and help support you with weight management. Okay, so people who eat more plant-based foods tend to be leaner than those who don't in these studies. Again, there's other theories, so just go with me. So basically, a diet like this, helps the body lose weight and it keeps it off, and you don't have to count calories. And that's one thing I've been very, very with my clients is that, I'm not a calorie counting person. So we look at how to get the most nutrient dense foods onto the plate to help our bodies to do what they need to do. And the benefit is weight loss and feeling great and all these other things. The other thing we found that's been found is that disease prevention, whole food plant-based eating can prevent, and halt or even reverse chronic disease. That includes heart disease and type 2 diabetes. I've seen it before. I've had clients with type 2 diabetes. We start adding more vegetables. We start adding these high nutrients. And guess what? All of a sudden, they don't need their medication. Their body becomes less insulin resistant. Their cells are able to process. So it's been amazing when my clients have switched over to higher plant-based foods. And there's studies too about, an environmental footprint. And I think that they're learning more and more about this too. When we raise meat in terms of factory farming, meat's not meant to, cows aren't meant to be in factory farms, but the emissions, and just because there's bare ground where the sun just, it heats up and there's no plants, nothing there to bring carbon down into the earth, we have an environmental issue with that. So anyway, that's going to be another talk. But if we can have organic and produce, we have our footprint on the planet is a lot less. So, okay, so physical things. A healthy heart. One of the most well-known benefits of whole food plant-based diet is increased heart health. So not only did a plant-based diet be proven to prevent and reverse heart disease, there's no other diet that can claim that is known right now. All right. So the fact that at this time, if I'm saying that, there really isn't. And again, I want to say there's a difference of eating factory farm meat versus grass-fed animals that are in their right environment to provide food. We're talking about plant-based today. But research has been studying the benefits of plant-based diets since the 80s. And then recent research, which was 2017, the American Heart Association's scientific sessions revealed that plant-based diets could reduce the risk of heart failure by 42% among people with no history of heart disease. So it's not in their family and things like that. Another study found that participants who consumed a plant-based diet even showed a reversal of coronary artery disease. So that's really exciting. So if you think about it, our cells, I'm a proponent of this, our cells want to do what they're supposed to do, and they want to do it the right way. It's up to us to give our body the nutrients to help them do what they need to do versus to do things that harm us, that cause chronic illness, okay? So protective factors are attributed to both the quality and types of the food consumed. For example, a study published in the Journal of American College of Cardiology found that among 200,000 participants who followed a healthy plant-based diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, and nuts had significantly lower risk of developing heart disease than those that followed a non-plant-based diet. And again, it's important to note that the study also found that unhealthy plant-based diets, you can be a vegetarian and be a junk food eater. Okay, so we're talking about a true vegetarian that's eating, real foods. But if you are a junk food vegetarian, that's someone that eats, sugary drinks, fruit juices, and refined grains, they still had a higher risk of heart disease. So again, I'm going to say it here, Tough Love Tuesday, eat real food. Now they had studies as well, regarding cancer. And this is a big one. So research suggests that by following a plant-based diet, that could reduce your risk for certain types of cancers. And there are two important factors to know when discussing cancer. First, this is really important. Cancer cells survive and thrive in a high sugar environment, okay? So when the cells are starving, by reducing the sugar, so the cancer cells are starving by reducing the sugar, they can't flourish. And second, while DNA can play a role in, the risk of developing cancer, diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors are modifiable conditions that can also contribute. So again, we have the ability to take care of this body that's carrying us around, and by what we put in our mouths, what we have around us, and those kinds of things. Vegetarian diets are associated with a significantly lower risk of gastrointestinal and colorectal cancer. And one thing to think about, colorectal cancer is increasing, in America. And it's shown to be highly related to what we eat. So there's definitely a relation to DNA and the ability, for your body to make those cells. However, there's something called DNA expression that would make something actually happen. So the way we eat is so important. The American Cancer Society recommends that cancer survivors follow plant-based diets that are high in fruits, vegetables, and unrefined grains, while at the same time being eating a low red same time being a diet, low in mass processed red meats and refined grains and sugars. So this research, they state, has shown that plant-based diets positively impact one's ability to survive cancer. And that's breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer. Whole food, plant-based diets can help reduce inflammation in the body, chronic inflammation. That means, again, our body is upset, the cells are upset, the immune system's, compromised. By eating plant-based, we can reduce that inflammation, we can boost our immune systems, and we can decrease body weight. And all of that contributes to reducing cancer risks. So again, plant-based, that's another positive for eating more plant-based foods. Diabetes prevention. So adopting a whole foods, plant-based diet can be useful in managing and reducing your risk of developing diabetes. So a lot of I was pre-diabetic, and I was eating a lot of refined carbohydrates. I was eating a lot of sugar. I was drinking too much wine, and I wasn't exercising. I was very distressed. So basically, I was perfect, the perfect storm for becoming pre-diabetic, which then to become a type 2 diabetic, which I I made a decision. I had the opportunity to reverse that. So anyway, there was a study of more than 200,000 people published in a peer-reviewed medical journal found that those who adhered to a healthy plant-based eating pattern had 34% lower risk of developing diabetes than those who followed an unhealthy non-plant-based diet. So again, and I say unhealthy is something that doesn't support your body. Okay, that's highly processed, high sugar, junk meats, all those kinds of things. That's what happened to me. So there was another, similarly, there was a study published by in Diabetes Care that demonstrated that plant-based diets were associated with nearly a 50% reduction in the risk of type 2 diabetes compared to non-vegetarian diets. And so I know for me in my process of going from junk food, boxed food, all of that, I started to add high nutrition through whole foods. It took a little while, but that's what I did. And so what's great here, there's great news for those with diabetes. There's a study published in Cardiovascular Diagnosis and Therapy found that plant-based diets have been shown to improve blood sugar control in people with diabetes. So again, we have the ability in so many ways by what we eat. Again, okay, I'm a broken record. What's on your plate, right? What's on your plate? How is it serving you? And what can we do to get some of that really good stuff in to your diet onto that plate that can help your body? This is a really great one too, plant-based diet and your brain. I am so excited. There's so many great books coming out with more research about brain health and plant-based diets. So, a lot of plant-based foods, they appear to influence both mental health and cognitive function positively. And the higher levels of antioxidants in the blood from plant sources have been associated with significantly lower risk of depression and lower suicidal rates. In both cross-sectional and interventional studies, vegetarians showed fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, and mood disturbances than omnivores. And the higher levels of antioxidants are also attributed to slowing the progression of Alzheimer's disease and reversing cognitive deficits. So there's countless studies reporting an association between higher intakes of fruits and veggies and a reduction of cognitive decline. So if we think we're going to eat really well for our heart, we're going to eat really well to support ourselves, we want to eat really well to support weight management. Guess what? All of that helps our brain at the same time. A meta-analysis, which is a review of several different studies of a similar subject, found that eating more fruits and veggies led to a 20% reduction in the risk of developing cognitive impairment or dementia. And the analysis reviewed 9 studies, including over 31,000 people. And I wish I had the book in front of me, but I think it's called The End of Alzheimer's. And excellent book, again, attributing what we eat does impact our brain. It impacts the way it functions and, of course, how we feel. So all of that is incredible as to why you want to get more fruits and veggies into your diet as best possible. So anyway, let's see. I think you get the picture. So foods galore. Here we go. So how do you do this? How do you make this happen, right? How do you go from high processed diet lifestyle to one that's more whole foods and healthier for you and more supportive of your body? And it's basically, you're going to pick just some areas and start adding. I always talk about crowding out. We're just going to start adding the good stuff. We're just going to start implementing these things that support us. And then what happened with me is I would just start to take out the other things. And I would let my brain kind of get itself around this. It would figure it out and just say, hey, let's add. And then there's not such a worry about deprivation, a worry about loss of a favorite food item. And I know if you've been following me a while, I say this all the time, you got to get the brain's buy-in, right? And so my brain was not buying in, but I could, and I realized I could take a couple things and I could start making adjustments. So what you can do is you can pick some of maybe your favorite things to start including in your meal. So that's fruits. That's any type of fruit: apples, bananas, grapes, strawberries, citrus, everything like that. I like to say too that, if you want a candy bar, or for me, it was Skittles and Runts, go ahead and have a banana first or an apple. Let that sit for a while and see if you still want that other item, and so that's something that's helping me out. So vegetables, start adding in, plenty of veggies, bright colored vegetables. So peppers, avocados, lettuce, spinach, get a variety of great colors. Okay. Tubers, those are your root veggies, get them in there again, different various colors. Whole grains, not refined. So whole grains. So millet, whole wheat. If you're not, oh my goodness, my brain. It's getting hot in my office here. Anyway, oats, barley, quinoa, within what you can have. Legumes, beans, gluten, that's the word. You're gluten sensitive. You don't want to have those wheat and those kind of things, but beans of any kind, lentils, those types of things. And there's so much more you can go ahead and try. I have a rule that if I go to the produce section, I try and find something. Is there something in there I've never had before? I've been pretty good. I think I've tried most everything in our market, but pick something new to try. The other thing that can help you get started is, where do you want to be in 10 years in terms of your health? How do you want to feel? What do you want to be doing? So kind of look out in the distance. And I know it can seem daunting, because I know if you asked Tracy from 10 years ago in 2011 that I would be doing this today, that I'd be healthier than I've ever been, that I'd feel better than I've ever been. She could not have seen this for me. She wouldn't have known, and it would have actually really stressed her out. But if you can get a vision of that in a way of, hey, maybe if I just do every day a little something that can lead me that direction, and you say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this. My hope is that I can feel better, and really plant that in your mind. Set your intention. Be aware of what you want. What is it you want? How do you want to feel? What do you want to be doing? Okay. And then you'll go ahead and start adding, like I said, these things that are going to help you with that goal. Another thing that was helpful was my kitchen prep. I had a big pantry at that time, and in there was, cereal, sugar, processed, breakfast bars, processed breakfast drinks, canned tomato sauce, lots of pasta, all these things. That's what I had in my pantry. And so I started to pick one item or two items I would learn an alternative to. And I would pick something just a little bit better. And then I would work on my palate. So you can having something in a plan for your pantry. And some of my clients will do this because some of the family just doesn't want to participate. So you establish your own shelf or your own, and your own space for the things that you want to have. But yeah, so you can create I want or a supportive and a non-supportive list. And so supportive could be, your greens, fruits, water, lemon, quality vitamins, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbal teas, whatever that could be. And then the non-supportive things that you want to be aware of in your pantry are going to be sugar, sugar substitutes, non-grass-fed organic dairy, but mass-processed dairies. You want to watch out for that. Meats that are from, the standard feedlots. So look at those things, processed foods, anything processed with preservatives and things like that, and soda. That was hard for me to give up too. I loved my one carbonated soda, but just go ahead and look through there and you start a plan on what you're going to kind of modify. And if you have a pantry that's stocked with the things that can support you, it's a lot easier to make the change. The other thing you'll want to eventually get are some ways to help you cook more plant-based. So like an immersion blender. We have one. I love it, love it, love it. I don't know what I would do without it. We have a food dehydrator. And, they're not a juicer. But again, Tracy 10 years ago didn't have those things. She wouldn't know what to do with them. So just kind of start adding things and trying things. But they help you get started. And the other great thing we have is glass containers for with plastic snap lids. And that way you can store your food better. And like when you go to the grocery store and you bring food home, you can put things into there and they store really well. Another way for you to get, help you move forward more into higher fruits and veggies and whole foods is the way you shop. So you can make it easier on yourself by kind of planning ahead or testing out a few recipes, but you can pick out a couple recipes. And then what you want to do on your list is list them in order of how you would walk the store. So that helps me a lot. So I know the store, I know where the items are. So when I might take something from a recipe, I know everything in produce I put in that list. And if I need to go into the other aisles, which I don't very often anymore, just kind of map it out so you can flow through your list. It takes a lot of the stress out. Yeah. And again, to avoid getting bored with certain flavors and things like that, even hit some of these international grocery stores. You can get some amazing spices. More and more international type stores are popping up all the time, grocery stores. Visit some of those, see what they've got in there. And the other good thing is, I've done a podcast on this, a broadcast is eating local. Be a locavore, and they'll be fresher. The produce will be fresher. There's nothing like eating something that's been picked maybe a few hours ago versus a week to 2 weeks ago. The flavor is totally different. And you'll have less chemical exposure, and there's also a lower environmental impact if you eat local grown. So anyway, yeah. And see if you can. I think one of the things that helped me was I would start with an item that I used to really like to eat. So it was maybe it was like a packaged rice package. I said, I'm going to take that one item and maybe I'll go ahead and learn how to make it myself. Or if I liked to go out for hamburgers, how can I make mine at home even better? Again, Ingrid and I talk about that. How can you take something you like, spaghetti sauce, for example? It's really hard to find spaghetti sauce that's already made without a ton of sugar and a ton of salt. So can you figure out how, to do that? And it is really easy, you guys. It's so easy. I used to make it so dramatic and difficult on myself, thinking it was hard. But actually, homemade spaghetti sauce is one of the easiest things to make. So, and I believe that you probably don't believe me. So the other thing that helps a lot is when you go grocery shopping is plan a little bit of time for prepping it. So when you bring everything home, you have those containers I told you about, and you're going to chop things, clean it, and get stuff in the containers right away so that they're cut and they're clean. So all you got to do is pull the container out. Or if you want a snack, you can just grab a carrot, you can grab, cucumber, whatever it is, and it's already ready. So plan just a little bit more time for something like that. And plus everything stores a lot better. Okay, so here's a couple other ways to help you kind of transition smoother. Start by eating more of the plant-based meals you already eat. I kind of mentioned that too. What do you already eat? And how can you convert it, to adding more veggies? Or so that could be rice, rice and beans, veggie stir fry, pasta sauce. How can you go ahead and take something you already eat and just try it vegetarian, add different seasonings, those kinds of things. Let's see. The other thing is, don't try and do it all at once. You don't have to give up things all at once or change things all at once. Again, we're talking about small incremental steps. And I still do eat meat myself, but instead of eating it 3 times a day, it might be just once. Everything else is plant-based. And then also we've raised the quality of our meat over time. So I tried to be a vegetarian. I was vegetarian long time ago, and I realized I was somewhat of a junk food vegetarian, processed frozen food vegetarian. But I would say the majority of my food is all vegetables and fruit now, with a little bit of protein, and my body loves that. But so again, when you're implementing something like this, you just try a little bit at a time. Find friends that are plant-based eaters. You can learn so much, have a good time learning together. There's vegetarian meetup groups you can join, and it's easier to do it if you're involved with others that are doing it too, to support you. And just take it as a fun experiment. It may, you may not like it at all, but I think through this process, I bet you'll be eating a lot more healthy foods, a lot more whole foods, and you'll have an opportunity, like I said, to reverse maybe a chronic illness that you have. So vitamins, I want to talk about that briefly. So when I was trying to change from my diet that I had prior and when I was pre-diabetic, I did start taking high-level, high-quality vitamins. Okay, because I needed my body to kick over faster. And I also know that the way we buy foods today, we'd probably, an item, especially if it's shipped from the other side of the country or the other side of the world, its nutrient content isn't as good as it would be if it was grown organic home in your backyard or at a community garden with really nutrient dense soil. But you can go ahead and utilize a supplement. However, if you are eventually eating really, really well, there's a possibility you may not need to keep taking those. And that's something you would make a decision about on your own. But, the great benefit about eating foods, whole foods, over trying to eat bad, foods that don't support you, and taking vitamins to try and counter it, you get greater nutrition when you're adding whole foods. So whole foods are complex. They contain a variety of micronutrients that your body really needs. And they have essential fiber. So let's just say you constantly, constipated. How much fiber are you getting? And are you getting it from going to get it from Whole Foods or a prescription? So whole foods such as whole grains, fruits, veggies, and legumes, they provide dietary fiber, which is necessary for a healthy diet. Okay. They also have protective substances. So whole foods contain other substances necessary for good health. So phytochemicals and antioxidants can be found in fruits and veggies. I am an antioxidant proponent. So again, bright color fruits and vegetables, the yellows, blues, bright greens, red. You want to get as much color in your diet as you can. And to stay motivated, we're going to move on to that. Switch to whole foods, plant-based diet. Make sure, you go and think again about, what is it I want for my body? How do I want to feel? What do I want? What's the result of this? And again, your brain may not be buying in on it because it doesn't know any different. I felt sick most of my whole life, so I didn't understand what it was like to be on the other side. I didn't know. I just figured I was living what probably everyone else felt. I didn't know that. And so, staying motivated to try and go ahead and, have those big goals for your body, have that motivation, and just take it a day at a time. All right. Here's some really good resources before I go. There's some really great documentaries that you may want to watch. That's including Forks Over Knives, which looks at a relationship between plant-based diets and managing disease. And the website Forks Over Knives also contains many great resources. Books that I love this one, How Not to Die by Michael Greger. Really good book. He's also got a really great website, nonprofit website. So How Not to Die, The China Study by T. Colin Campbell, The Mind-Gut Connection, How the Hidden Conversation Within Our Bodies Impacts Our Mood, Our Choices, and Our Overall Health by Emerin Mayer. Again, my gut-brain connection was a mess until I fixed my food. Okay. A Plant-Based Life, Your Complete Guide to Great Food, Radiant Health, Boundless Energy, and a Better Body by Michaela Carlson. And The Omnivore's Dilemma, A Natural History of 4 Meals by Michael Pollan. And of course, Your Personal Journey with Food by Tracy Cromwell and Ingrid Lau, which we talk about plant-based eating as well. Some fun things you can do. There's a website called meatlessmonday.com and supercook.com. And those have great recipes. And just have fun. Be creative and try things out. And there's also, let's see, some apps, Food Monster, Kitchen Stories that are great. So anyway, again, the benefits of getting more fruits and vegetables into your diet it's incredible, between preventing or reversing chronic illness to preventing certain types of cancer. Know that whatever you are putting in your mouth is going to cause a reaction within your body. And by whatever, again, it's Tough Love Tuesday, whatever you're putting in your mouth, is it worth it? So really raising your level of respect and worthiness and understanding that this incredible body that you've been given is so worth learning how to take care of. And again, the being on the other side of it is phenomenal. So anyway, that's all I got tonight on Tough Love Tuesday. Yeah, give it a shot, even if you find plant-based eating and vegetarianism isn't for you. I know Ingrid talks about it in our book, her journey with vegetarianism as well. And, it's just worth the experiment, and see how your body reacts to it. And you don't know unless you try. So, okay, you have a great evening, everybody, and I'll see you next week. Okay, take care.